Welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy. The Divine Pymander, part 18. Finally old enough to vote. Anyway, hi. How's everybody doing? Today we finished technically the Divine Pymander. There were 14 chapters, it turned out. And now we're reading the and other writings of Hermes Trismegistus part. And so that's fun. If you want to start at the beginning of the Divine Pymander of Hermes Trismegistus and other writings on Chicken Philosophy, you can click right there. Okay, cool. So yesterday, you might recall, yesterday was Nag Hammadi part 52, and we lit some copal to get far out and theoric-y, which we kind of did. I mean, you know, everybody has a slightly different experience with the grades, so sometimes you'll run into people, especially if you're not in the same, like, immediate, groupthink, and then they describe a grade in a way that you're like, really? Because everyone I know experienced it like this, and it's like, well, shit happens, some things aren't so clearly defined in the text, and so the group kind of defines it on their own. It's raining. Well, it was. It's generally raining this morning. Which is appropriate, considering this is the third of the final quinary of the cycle of 15, known as the Monsoon 15. Because it's monsoon season. And, yeah. So now we actually have the copal lit. And then these are like stragglers from, I think, patchouli. And I don't know. Maybe if I light it, then I'll be able to recognize it. If it's out and laying around on my desk, then it's probably one that I use on a semi-regular basis. Let's see. Yeah, I'm really not sure what that is. So we've got big copal, little patchouli, and little I'm not sure what that is. So it's always good. Anybody seen Superman 3, the Richard Pryor one? The unknown element that made the kryptonite into something funky. Anyway, okay. That's good. We're done with that. That's the incense. The incense. We did the incense first today. You know what that means. See, we got our Tibetan flags. The view. This is Darjeeling. For anybody who heard Esoteric Nerd 138, you heard me talk about Darjeeling. And where's the clock tower? Yeah, there's the. Can you see it? Is it? Oh no, it's on this side. Not wearing my proper glasses yet. Yeah, there's but that's basically what it's like. So it doesn't end up on everybody's short list when they come to India. Put it on your short list. You just have to fly into Bagdogra, and then take the 6 to 7 hour taxi ride up the mountain. Or you can take the train if you're a weirdo. No, people used to think that. Never mind. Not important. Cheers. Talking to older generation folks who started coming to India back in the 1970s, and they talked about that the only way to get up to Darjeeling was the train. Otherwise, you had to get in a jeep and go on this dirt road and everything. And it's like, oh, well, they paved that road. You just take a taxi up. It's kind of, oh, have we arrived? Okay. So things change. Okay. All right. We're good? Are you good? I hope everybody's good. I'm going to read, as we do these days, I'm going to read one paragraph of High Magic by Eliphas Levi, the Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic. They put this big, so forget to read that. But don't forget to read the whole title. I mean, you can if you want. I'm not telling you what to do. Do what thou wilt, right? Okay, this is a short, very short paragraph, so I'm going to read 3 paragraphs, because there's 2 very short ones and 1 medium-sized one. No, I'll read 4 paragraphs. Fuck it. No rules. Yet the multitudes, do you remember what they were talking about last time? I think vaguely. Okay, good enough. Yet the multitudes never conspire against the real powers. Yeah, okay, I get it, yeah. So they go after the magicians, but they don't go after the assholes that are, like, pulling the puppet strings behind the kings and all that. Okay, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Of course, he was writing in the 1850s. This would have rung true in the 1980s. And I don't know, there might be some paranoiacs that are like, they shadow banned my YouTube channel, these days. But I think it's a little bit less now. People aren't really going after occultists quite as much. But it's still a little... I think my short from yesterday got shadow banned because I was like, death is the alchemical marriage between God and man. And I think the YouTube algorithm was like, is he encouraging self-unaliving? It's like, fucking YouTube algorithm. Okay. I mean, but on the other hand, there's probably people that are that stupid. But anyway, okay. Yet the multitudes never conspire against real powers. They do not have, meaning the tarot card death. Never mind. They do not have the science of what is true, but only the instinct for what is strong. I feel like that was a good line. I don't want to go by it too quickly. Yet the multitudes never conspire against the real powers. They do not have the science of what is true, but only the instinct for what is strong. They're like, that guy's in charge. I'm going to do what he says. This guy, he's talking, saying stuff. I don't know what he's talking about. But this guy, he's got the axe. So... anyway, good enough. Okay, the particularity of the 18th century, meaning the 1700s. Some people get confused. They think 20th century means 2000. No, that means 1900. Actually, technically 1901 through 2000. So, okay, good enough. What? Yet the is that today's phrase is good enough? Maybe it's a good enough phrase. The particularity of the 18th century was to make fun of both the Christians and of magic. Oh, yeah, the Enlightenment, right? While at the same time becoming infatuated with the homilies of Jean-Jacques Rousseau and the magical illusions of Cagliostro. I think the magical illusions of Cagliostro, I don't need to know much about Cagliostro to assume that that's like a David Blaine, one of those fucking guys. I don't know the names of magicians. The guy in Lord of Illusions, I don't remember the name of the character, but David Copperfield, is that one of them? Did he turn out to be a pervert? I don't know. And then the other one was Rousseau, French philosopher. Yeah, Rousseau, that sounds familiar, like a French philosopher from the Enlightenment period who's like, those French Enlightenment period philosophers. The Germans too. Were there British ones? No, they were just like running around, running the world at that point. Okay, nonetheless, at the heart of magic, there is science. Just as at the heart of Christianity, there is love. What? Okay, Mr. Levy, I misjudged you, I thought. No. Well, let's skip. And in the evangelical symbols, we see the verb with a capital V. In French, verbe means both verb and word. The verb. So they didn't translate that into word. They left it in the French. Okay, that's a choice. All right, I mean, milieu doesn't have a good English translation. Does verb? God is a word, God is a verb. In the beginning was the verb. No, logos is a noun. We see the verb incarnated, adored in his infancy, by the 3 mages, guided by a star, the ternary and the sign of the microcosm, and receiving gold, incense, and myrrh from them. Another mysterious ternary under whose symbol is allegorically contained the highest secrets of the Kabbalah. Why did you pronounce it that way? Because he chose to spell it Cabala. There was this one time I was trying to cross the border with Canada, and I told him I couldn't tell him what I was doing there because it was part of an international secret society, and I refused to answer any of their questions. So they searched my car. And then there was this guard who was like, "What the heck is the Kabbalah?" It's pretty funny. There's more to that story, but I've already told that story on... Anyway, thus Christianity, you can hear like 5 different conversations in which RC and I argue about the details of some of those stories because we remember them differently because we were 20 or 18 or both. I was 20. Okay. Thus Christianity did not owe any hatred to magic, but human ignorance has always been afraid of the unknown. Occult science was obliged to hide in order to avoid the passionate aggressions of a blind love. She covered herself within new hieroglyphs, concealed her efforts, disguised her hopes. Thus was created the jargon of alchemy. Oh yeah, that's a good point. A continual deception for the vulgar transmutation of gold and a living language, only for the true disciples of... Hermes. That's what we're reading. It's Hermes. Hermes stuff. Okay. Okay, so this next section is section 2 of Death. Okay, YouTube. All right. A little Mexican standoff. Is that PC? Probably not. From Asclepius. Parentheses, okay. Roman numeral 4 lowercase. 106 in Arabic numerals. Florilegium. 120 in Arabic numerals. And parentheses. Why? What does this mean? I think it means like if you want to find the original text, those are the names of the libraries and what section of the library to search for them. So you can probably just forget about those numbers and it'll be safe to do that. We must now speak of death. For the death frightens the many as a very great evil through ignorance of the fact. And this is a Hermes fact. Not quite as harebrained as a... What's the guy's name? The translator? Yeah, John D. Chambers. His definition of fact is pretty fuzzy. But so far, Hermes, his facts are ancient Greek, but not like, American Fundy or whatever. I don't know if he's American. He might be British or Norwegian or wherever else they have fundies. For death... They have them in Korea now, thanks to my great-great-grandmother. That's another story. Okay. For death becomes dissolution of a defunct body, and also the number of the harmonies of the body being completed. For the harmonization of the body is number. I can't say I get it, but I can say I dig it a little, at least a little, unless they ruin it with explanation. Okay. But the body dies when it can no longer support the man. And death is this, the dissolution of body and disappearance of bodily sense. And that's the end of death. We finished it. Yay! We finished death. Now, section 3 of God. A little longer, at least a little. Okay. To understand God is difficult. To declare him impossible. For body to signify the incorporeal is impossible, and the perfect to be comprehended by the imperfect is not possible. I'll allow it. And for the eternal to be conversant with the short-lived, very difficult. but fun and can inspire interesting poetry and lyrics, songs. For this ever is, but that passes away. And this indeed is truth with a capital T, but that is overshadowed by fantasy with a lowercase ph. For the weaker from the stronger, and the less from the superior, are as far distant as the mortal from the divine. And the intermediate distance of these dims the sight of the beautiful, with a capital B. So you know we're talking about tifaqet. That's Hebrew for beautiful. And a capital because of the tree of life. Never mind, For the bodies, indeed, are seen by eyes. Weren't we just talking about that in Nag Hammadi? By tongue, things visible are related. Oh, talking. I thought he was going to lick something. But those incorporeal and invisible and figureless and not composed of matter, it is impossible also to be comprehended by our senses. You can use some metaphors. I apprehend mentally, O Tat, what is not possible to express in speech. That is the God. Capital T, capital G. That's the end of the section on the God. These sections are pleasantly short. Okay, this next section is section 4. From Stobius Physica 55 Mineke I 14. Forget all of that. Okay, quote, Hermes, being asked what God is, said, quote within quotes, the creator of the whole, with a W, capital W-H, of things, most wise mind, capital M, and eternal, capital E, end quote within quotes, end quote. Then from Stobius Physica 134 Meneke I 33, parentheses, it is not stated from what work of Hermes, end parentheses. Scary parentheses voice you got there, Edward. For some very great demon. Oh, child, wait a minute. This was ancient Greece. Did they have demon without the AE? And if they were saying demon, did they mean, oh no, oh, scary exorcism, or did they just mean like when Carl says it, my daemon, oh, you silly lady with the serpent wings, and my soul, my mother. I don't know. Maybe both.
Hopefully both.
Oh, there you go. Now you're on to something. 2 serpents, two daemons. No, none of these things. I'll just read. For some very great demon, with a capital D, O child, hath been ordained, resolved, in the midst of the universe, beholding all things that are generate on earth by the men. I think it's Carl's definition. I mean, Carl didn't invent the word daemon. I know it's daimon or something, but I'm not one for correctly pronunciating Greek or English. For just as, or Sanskrit, or what? For just as, mais mon français est très bien. Mwah. No. Let's. For just as over the divine order the providence and necessity are ordained, in the same manner also over the men is justice ordained. So just as some shit I just made up, so is some other shit I just made up. No. Okay, let's give it a chance. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that this is true and makes sense. Just for the moment, let's be silly and reread that line with attention and respect. Okay. For just as over the divine order. Okay. So we're gonna state something about a thing called the divine order that we're going to assume exists, and we're going to assume that the thing we're going to say about it is a given that we all know, so that we can draw a parallel, a metaphor, an abstract metaphor to describe another abstract metaphor. Fair enough. Let's go. I'm into it. I mean, I do it myself. I'm just not into it when other people do it. Okay. For just as over the divine order, the providence, maybe that's where my problem is. Oh, and then the footnote is some Greek word. The providence. Okay. And necessity are ordained. Use of the passive voice. Ordained by whom? By the God, obviously, as is everything. Aren't we Christians? Yes, Mr. Whatever your name is. The translator. I'll just... Okay, what? Energizing these things for them. What? No, I skipped part. In the same manner, also over the men is ordained justice, with a capital J, energizing these things for them. Oh. We'll just roll with it. Roll with it. It's fine. It's fine. If this were, like, from, you know, a different land, I would probably be giving it a lot more respect if this weren't related to the thing that I spent all those years marching around in. Maybe, I mean, not a lot more respect, but at least a little. For this, indeed, rules the order of the entities, with a capital E, as divine, and not willing to sin, nor being able. If you're unable to sin, does it matter if you want to? Yeah, probably. If you're, like, laying in a hospital bed, the nurse walks in, and you're like, whatever, human being, another human being. I love my fellow human beings as fellow sparks of light in the divine. Then your heart is not full of dirty, disgusting Animaniacs episodes. What?
Hello, nurse.
Never mind. Okay, what? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Good enough, isn't that the phrase? Being able, yeah, not willing to sin, nor being able. For it is impossible for the divine to have been led astray. Oh, I don't even know what we're talking about. Okay, for this indeed rules the order of the entities as divine, and not willing to sin or being able. For it is impossible for the divine to have been led astray. Jack Nicholson.
We make mistakes, they call it evil. When God makes mistakes, they call it nature.
Thank you, Jack Nicholson, and good point. Good point. Anyway, he was portraying the devil in that movie. You should watch Witches of Eastwick. I think, right? Is it compatible with 2026? I think so, right? For it is impossible for the divine to have been led astray, from which also succeeds the being impeccable. Succeeds, like, as in follows, like the king's succession, right? But the justice, with a capital J, is ordained avenger of those sinning upon the earth. I know, we've all watched Marvel movies. What? Justice, Hooded Justice is from... for the race of men, since mortal and consisting of evil matter, right? Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm conditioned to go along with these assumptions, right? 3 dots, which in this case means it's some damage. The text was damaged, as opposed to Polytext Society, which just means, I don't feel like translating this part. Thank you, Polytext Society. Never mind. It's... and especially to them occurs the lapsing. What? Right, the godless mankind. Right, yeah, okay. The dirty, evil matter of mankind. I mean, you know, we can all see examples of that just by walking down the street, right? With whom God-seeing power is not present. Over these, then, and especially, does the justice prevail, and they are subjected to the fate through the energies of the generation, but to justice through the sins in the life. Except when they're not. Okay, next. 5. Hermes to the sun, with an S-O-N. Does that mean tat? Probably. Stobius Physica 162, Meneke I42, Patrit, P, 38, page 38, we can assume. Rightly thou hast spoken to me, rightly thou hast spoken to me all things, O Father. But further remind me what things are those according to providence and what according to necessity. Thanks, Tat. Took the words out of my mouth before I thought to have them. Likewise also according to fate. Okay, thanks, Tat. Let's see what he says. I said that there were in us, O Tat, 3 species of incorporeals, and the one indeed is something intelligible. This then indeed is colorless, figureless, incorporeal. Out of the first, and notice when Hermes talking to his son, suddenly he affects a, I'm doing the reading, so never mind. Then indeed is colorless, figureless, incorporeal, out of the first and intelligible essence with a capital E. I mean, half the words are capitalized, but sometimes I mention them. But there are also in us, opposite to this, configurations which that receives, that therefore moved by the intelligible essence for any reason, and received, immediately is changed into another species of motion. And this is image of the intelligence of the Creator. I think you forgot a the in there, Mr. Russian as a second language. What the fuck? 3 dots. But third species of incorporeals is that which is occurrent about bodies, place, time, motion, figure, appearance, magnitude, form. And these are and of these there are 2 differences. For some of them are properly qualities, but others of the body. Those indeed properly qualities are the figure, the color, the form, the place, the time, the motion. But those proper of the body are the figured figure. What? And the colored color. What? And there are also the shaped out shape. Okay? You can go to the gym and shape your shape. I don't know. And the appearance and the magnitude, these are non-participate with those. Anybody who that made sense to, feel free to explain it in the comments. The intelligible essence, then, being with the God, has free power of itself, and of saving others, saving itself, since the same essence, capital E, is not under necessity, capital N, but having been abandoned by the God. I wish I knew how to say, Father, why hast thou abandoned me in Greek, because it would have fit really well right there. Oh well. It chooses the incorporeal nature. Credo in unum Deum omnipotentem. That's as far as I know of the Nicene Creed in Latin, or the Apostles' Creed. It's just a shortened version of the Nicene Creed. Never mind. There were 1 or 2 things that I memorized, but the other things I didn't. And the choice of it according to providence becomes that of the world. But the irrational whole, with a WH, oh, that irrational whole, what? Is moved according to some reason, and the reason indeed according to providence, but the irrational according to necessity. And the things having occurred about the body according to fate. And this is the relation of things according to providence and necessity and according to fate. Thanks, Hermes. It all makes sense now. Cheers. I think, by the way, we've been going back and forth between like space age music and like an orchestralized Metroid, the original NES Metroid music. Not AI generated, but made by a nerd on his computer using sampling. And so the links are in the description if you were wondering what this wacky ass music is. It was premeditated. I downloaded all those music tracks last night in anticipation of today's Divine Pymander episode. Okay, you ready for number 6? Me too. Concerning the economy of the universe of Hermes, from those to Amon. Alright. Stobius Physica 183, Meniki I-47, Patrit, page 38. Still on page 38? What a long page. I mean, maybe P doesn't stand for page. Whatever. But that governing throughout the whole world is providence. Is it? Okay, let's go along with it. But that keeping together and encompassing it is necessity. Okay. I mean, I'll go along with it. You can look at it that way. You can label things that way. You can see things in that perspective for the sake of illustrating a point. But that's as far as it goes. Because no, it's not, and no, it's not. I mean, but fate compelling leads, and also fate, no. I mean, sure, why not? But no. But fate compelling leads, spectrum, fuck the spectrum. Okay. But fate compelling leads and brings about all things, parentheses, for the nature of it. Who decided the parentheses? Was it the ancient Greeks, or was it thou, O translator? For the nature of it is the compelling, and parentheses, cause of generation and destruction of life. Fate is. Okay. Well, good to have a cause on that. Whatever. Okay. The world then first has the providence, parentheses, for first it happens upon it, end parentheses, but the providence was expanded in the heaven. Wherefore, the heaven? Is that different from heaven? Is the God different from God? I mean, we know what the translator thinks, but what do we think? Heaven with a lowercase h, so they just must mean the sky. I don't know, whatever. Wherefore also gods are turned around it, and are moved, having motion, unwearied, and ceaseless, and fate, wherefore also necessity. And the providence indeed provides, but fate is the cause of the disposition of the stars. This is inevitable law, according to which all things are ordained. And then it says, see Poimandres, Pymandres. I've been corrected. Pymandres. Just as a mental, so you can remember how to pronounce Pymander. Just remember that episode of Rick and Morty. I'll read a little more. I mean, I feel like it's time to stop soon, but I'll read a little more. 7. Of Hermes from those to Amon. What's this Amon about? Whatever. And then some Stobius Physica Manichae Patrit numbers. Who cares? But all things are generated by nature and by fate. Okay, tweak. There are. Redefine. Shift things around. Yes. Yes, they are. Okay. Nature and fate. Yes. Yes. Especially in past tense. That was meant to have happened that way. If you're talking about present tense, fuck fate. Right? Are we in agreement?
I know exactly what you mean.
And there is not a place destitute of providence. I mean, if you are in the 5th dimension looking at, the ribbon of 4th dimensional time. Yes, everything was preordained. All right. But we're not in the 5th dimension. We're watching the 3rd dimension unfold in the 4th dimension from the perspective of the 3rd dimension. It's a very specific thing. Let us have our fucking fun, asshole. Greeks? No. I mean, not all Greeks are assholes. Hashtag not all Greeks. Okay, but there is not a place, and I don't mean present-day Greeks, obviously. I mean the ancestors of Western civilization Greeks. No, okay, yes.
Western civilization is a term that you guys made up, okay? In the 19th century. You literally made it up.
But providence is the self-sufficient reason of the God above in heaven. but two are the spontaneous powers of this necessity and fate. You can't conquer the world and then whine about, you're stealing my culture. Well, Alexander the Great shoved it down all our throats, even in India, so stop whining, Greeks. I'm just saying, as clearly as I can, the reality of it, Okay. Like a Chinese person going into Tibet and saying, hey, don't appropriate Chinese culture, you Tibetans. No, you came in, remember with the army a few decades ago? Or the British being like, stop speaking English so much. Like the Greeks and the Arabs and the Spanish kind of all fall into that category of former colonists who don't get to whine about cultural appropriation anymore. Just because the British did it more recently, so they're like, the West is appropriating our culture. Like, what do you think the West is? You mean further west than you? Okay. Sorry, this is not about that. We'll see what I mean. It's time for me to stop reading. It's going off the rails now. Okay. But the fate subserves to providence and necessity, but to the fate subserve the stars. Yeah, okay, sure, obviously. For neither can anyone fly from fate nor guard himself from the force of these, for the constellations are the armor of fate. Unless you have a vault of the Adepti, you can go in and just change your natal chart. According to the guy whose ring I wear, For according to this, all things are consummate in the nature and with the men. End quote. Where was the beginning of that quote? There wasn't one. There wasn't one. That was an end quote that had no beginning quote. Good news, everybody. Today, you are no longer in quotes. The quotes that you've been in this whole time have ended. Finally, no longer a character with a narrator voice. Well, that's a relief. Did you have fun? I had fun. I think I had fun. Every so often, the petals roll around, the chicken wheel rolls around, so we read this, and then whatever is on the page is on the page, and whichever persona it is whichever persona it is, whatever weather it is. Today was light rain, and so this was the permutation that we got. When I was a wee lad of Philosophus, one time when I had just become Carix, and I was dropping acid, and in the morning I put on I've told this story before, but I like this story, and it fits. There's a point. I put on my black robe and rolled it up underneath my black leather jacket. So I looked like a normal guy in a black leather jacket with long blonde hair. And I think I have a picture of those days, but that was a different night. This particular night I went up by myself because Big Dog and I dropped the acid and he went to sleep. So I was up all night with the fire wand sticking up in the, central altar, I don't know, doing stuff. And it was before the fire, obviously. I think it was February. I want to say it was February. There was pretty much once a month. It just worked out that once a month there was an acid trip, and then I'd make a graphic. I'd do a computer image at some point in the night that would capture the essence of the trip. But anyway, this particular one, in the morning I went up by myself, and I think I was probably doing divine names. Maybe I did LBRP, BRH, and was middle pillar, I don't know. And I was looking toward the sunrise, and then the sun, and then I think before that I opened up my jacket so my robe unfurled, and there I was. The light breeze was blowing, the sun was rising, the flocks of birds, because it was up on what my buddy Robbie calls Obama Mountain. I don't know if anybody else besides Robbie calls it that, but it's behind in Occidental College where Obama went. So there's like a hill that the track team runs, by, and they use it as part of their exercise. But anyway, there's a little stool up there, and like a bench that you sit on. A bench is a better word. it isn't also synonymous with. Never mind. So there I was. The sun was rising, the birds, and I felt like Adam, not in a weird way, but like there I was, mankind, and cars were starting to pull out, and go to work, and it was like the whole world was waking up, and the sun was rising. And did I mention it was spring equinox? So the sun was right at the boundary line between Aries and Pisces, and it was right between the 1st and 12th house, right there. So it was like the moment of the year, unless you're like a midnight-based person, but I was much more of a sunrise, spring equinox-based person. So I was like experiencing this perfect harmony moment, mankind in the center of a mandala of creation, of the Garden of Eden at spring equinox on sunrise, right? So the next night, I decided I needed to get everybody in the house. There were 9 people living there rent-free. It's a whole other story. But anyway, to go watch the sunrise with me, because I wanted to share that moment somehow with them. And so I was like, we'll go to the beach. And so I got everybody in the car, and we went to the beach, and there were clouds. It was raining. You couldn't see the sun at all. And there was a cliff. I don't know what I was thinking. It's the West Coast. There was a cliff. You can't see the sunrise. You could, even if there was no cliff there, you couldn't see the sunrise because of the clouds. And then everybody was scattered, like Big Dog and Molly were over there, and TJ was over there, and Chris and Leslie, and everybody was in different places and doing their own thing. And I was looking at it, and part of me wanted to be like, oh no, we weren't able to share the essence of that perfect spring equinox moment. But I knew better. There was enough acid still in my brain, or whatever, that I knew that this was like one hair off. Like if you play a note and you play the note right next to it and there's a discordance, that this was a different part of the mandala. This is like one of the colored petals of the rose cross, that this was like Pisces or something, and instead of, what I mean, like, instead of the center of the center of the center through Aries or whatever. I don't know what was going on. But the point is, yeah, that's kind of what the chicken wheel is like. It's not the point, it's not the center, it's not the heart. But you can, if you have eyes to see, you can recognize the heart in disguise within it, with a particular mask on, reading a book of another mask, in the weather and mood of another mask, expressing a particular specific thing that has, a soundtrack to it and has a very specific energy to it. And, perhaps all roads lead to Rome, or Da'at, if you're looking at the ley lines on Africa. Anybody? Kiev is Keter. Anybody? Kiev? I'm pronouncing it wrong. Was there a point? Yes, but I cannot express it in words, as I think Hermes might have vaguely reminded us of, and definitely yesterday in the Nag Hammadi, Thomas was sort of saying about that whole Borosian, word virus phenomenon. And how when you say phenomenon, phenomena starts playing in your head. And by you, I mean me. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, the something about the text was starting to... So I thought I'd stop reading, and then it's a good thing. I decided to ramble, because now the episodes have been getting a little longer lately. I don't know if that's going to be a continued trend, or if we're going to reel it back in and make them closer to half an hour. But anyway, all right, that was today. That was today's episode, the Divine Pymander Part 18. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time we're going to be doing the red and white. Gwydion will be doing I Ching, that book right there, which also happens to be red and white. And that will end with the 14 of the 15 mini compilation above his head. For those who've been watching for a while, you might have already anticipated that. And then, after that, BT doing Meccan Revelations, which will be the last episode of the Monsoon 15. All right. Hope you enjoyed yourself. We'll probably do Buddhist books next. I think we should. We'll get back to the schedule. We did 4 chicken philosophies in a row without doing Buddhist books. And the next Buddhist book is going to be Shingon, that book, in which we're going to introduce the reading of a few paragraphs of this book, Mahavairakana Sutra, at the beginning of the reading of the Shingon book by Mr. Putty. What's his name? Snodgrass. That's what it was. Until next time, take care.